Hello, I'm Shay, and today I'll be speaking to you about a proposal for Growing Home. We're a nonprofit telemedicine organization that offer hospitalized babies and their families a safe and effective means of leaving the hospital sooner than expected. Growing Home's vision is to create a healthcare solution that safely unites children with their families at home sooner than ever before. Our mission is to compassionately provide parents with the tools and support they need to care for their babies and work on feeding successfully. We value compassionate care, interdisciplinary collaboration, evidence based education and interventions, reliability, and familial autonomy. Our vision, mission, and values stem from our hope for healthy futures for our patients and the belief that parents are the best caregivers for their children. Growing Home's market consists of hospitals as our suppliers of patients and patients' families as the consumer. But we must include insurance providers as well, as most of our income will be derived from care reimbursements. Our marketing plan involves pleasing each stakeholder group and meeting their individual needs. Our unique value proposition and market opportunity is three-sided. It includes solutions for families, hospitals, and payer groups like Medicaid, Medicare, and health insurance companies. First, families want to bring their children home, but want them to remain safe and able to develop healthy lives. In NICUs throughout the United States, the most common practice is to hold discharge until the patient is stable from a cardiorespiratory perspective and meets all their daily nutritional needs through oral feeding. If they cannot eat all of food by mouth, the patient must undergo permanent feeding tube placement by surgically implanting a G tube instead of using a temporary nasogastric tube. This means a baby must be put back on a ventilator and sedatives during the surgery, then weaned off both before discharge. This entire process, from birth or admission to discharge, can take months. Second, being in a NICU can cause harm to infant development compared to being at home due to decreased neurological stimulation, constant noise, painful procedures, and separation from parents. It causes poor familial bonding because parents are not performing primary caregiver activities and are potentially not able to hold or even touch their baby due to medical fragility. It causes loss of familial autonomy because parents do not have complete control over how their family operates and must split their time between home and the hospital. These things, combined with uncertainty and grief, cause significant parental stress. At Growing Home, we offer an expedited discharge process due to assistance and oversight of in-home care. The home is a much more therapeutic environment for infant growth and development, where families can bond much more firmly within the context of their own homes, with their own routines and personal time. In-home care has been proven to relieve parental stress and boost familial autonomy. On the hospital side, facilities need to discharge patients more quickly. Hospitals are prevented from admitting new patients due to industry-wide staffing shortages. This in turn causes hospitals to limit their inpatient census, especially in California, where nurse-to-patient ratio laws mandate that a nurse can only take care of a certain amount of patients, depending on the level of care. And limiting patients means limited revenue. Additionally, NICU care is associated with the highest expense levels per hospital stay for healthcare organizations. Growing Home offers an alternate path for hospitals to discharge patients. A recent study found that 23% of NICU patients could be discharged home to work on feedings instead of remaining in the hospital. They also found that 16% of NICU patients achieved full oral feedings within 3 months at home. This could increase staffing efficiency, allow them to care for more patients and create more revenue. And another study found that telemedicine and remote patient monitoring saved hospitals 32% in healthcare costs compared to traditional care. This is a significant cost savings just by working with Growing Home. Lastly, we have payers like insurance companies, Medicare and Medicaid. They want to save money, but inpatient care is expensive. NICU stays for the smallest babies were estimated at just over $603,000 on average between 2008 and 2016, with costs of over 2.5 million per patient per hospital stay on the higher end. Outpatient care is cheaper, but the current offerings offer very little oversight or assistance for families. This leads to hospital readmission, which places a more significant cost burden on hospitals and payers, but is largely preventable. Growing Home offers a cheaper alternative to inpatient care with more oversight than traditional outpatient care. A recent study showed that telemedicine and remote patient monitoring resulted in 34% shorter inpatient stays, with 41% fewer hospital readmissions, and it's much cheaper than traditional care. Our services include offering early discharge when patients are medically stable, can eat at least a quarter of their full feeds by mouth, and are able to tolerate a nasogastric or NG feeding tube. We don't require a permanent gastric tube if parents can show that they can safely use and reinsert an NG tube. This brings me to the last requirement that parents complete training on safely feeding and caring for their child while recognizing the signs of patient decompensation and the need for elevated medical care. When home, our services include daily virtual rounding with neonatologists to discuss the baby's condition, weight gain, feeding progress, and plan of care. It includes feeding support by speech therapists on a daily basis initially, then moving to 3 times per week, then once per week as the patient progresses. They will be able to work with parents to evaluate feeding ability and adjust the feeding plan. These sessions can also include lactation consulting if parents desire or are struggling with breastfeeding. Lastly, we offer a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week helpline for parents staffed with NICU nurses and nurse practitioners that provide feeding support, answer parent questions, as well as evaluate and prioritize emerging problems. Growing Home must choose placement and promotion carefully, as healthcare advertising is limited in the United States and our target market is small. First, connecting with neonatologists, discharge planners, and nurses is key, as these individuals will choose when our potential clients are discharged and what care they will need once at home. We must reach out to these individuals directly through site visits and trusted professional organizations like the American Academy of Pediatrics and the National Association of Neonatal Nurses. Additionally, we must contact the hospital administration as they will be interested in saving money through increased discharges and they hold powerful sway over unit practices. Second, families themselves must be reached through the NICU staff at each hospital. This will serve as both placement and promotion. Parents will be given options for going forward once they become eligible for Growing Home service, and they will be able to reach out to us at that time. We will reach consumers through promotion from charitable organizations like the March of Dimes. Advertising directly to these families will be difficult due to healthcare privacy laws like HIPAA that protect consumers' personal information and our advertising practices. We will have an online presence but cannot aggressively use direct consumer promotion. Lastly, toward payer groups, as with any other healthcare organization, Growing Home is limited in its ability to promote services to insurance companies for legal and ethical reasons. We must hold the promotion of our services until after the service is initiated and must limit it to showing a history of trustworthiness and accuracy. At the current time, Growing Home has no direct competition. There are no companies in the United States that are offering our services. However, we do have substitutes. and there are possible entrants into this field that could take market share. We differentiate ourselves from inpatient care by being more developmentally appropriate with increased parental autonomy, privacy, and comfort. We are also significantly less expensive and do not require a G tube. Compared to home health, we offer less invasive virtual visits, and we're focused on infant care, with help available in moments 24 hours a day. Home health companies are also largely not equipped for telemedicine, nor does telemedicine fit into their business model. Unlike telemedical companies, we are focused on infant care, available 24 hours a day, and personalize our care plans for each patient. Post-hospital care does not fit most telemedical companies' business models either. Last, compared to independent hospital outpatient programs, Growing Home offers help almost instantly, is available 24 hours a day. We are devoted to home care, and our services do not fit into most hospitals' outpatient programs. Our goal is first and foremost to create a safe method for our patients to go home sooner to be with their families. However, we must maintain financial stability to continue helping families. So, our first goal is to achieve financial stability through our program revenue. To accomplish this, Growing Home's sales objectives are to have 40 recurring patients by the end of the second quarter, with 50 patients by the end of the first fiscal year. Our year 2 goal is to have 100 recurring patients by the end of the year. This will bring in enough revenue to cover operating costs and expansion plans. Once the first year goals are achieved, all additional donation revenue will be funneled towards lowering patients' fees for our service. Our main non-financial goal, which will help us achieve the first, is to boost brand awareness and image throughout California and receive more patients for our service. Our objectives for achieving this goal are to increase customer, referring healthcare provider, and donor satisfaction. Growing Home's financial projections align with our sales goals, with growth from 5 to 50 patients by the end of year 1 and 100 patients by the end of year 2, up to 130 current patients in the third year and 150 patients by the end of year 4. Our statement of activities on the right shows Growing Home's progress over that 4-year period. The only year that Growing Home is expected to take a net loss in income is year 3. This is due to a significant investment in its facilities, moving from remote working to the office and hiring more staff to make up for the expected increase in patient load. This loss is planned to be absorbed by Growing Home's short-term investments in cash reserves, as we will see on the next slide. Growing Home is not overly preoccupied with significant profit margin as a nonprofit organization. Additional revenue and donated funds are used to subsidize patient care instead of being kept by shareholders. We expect net profit margins of 1.8% in the first year, down to negative 0.9% in year 3, and then back up to 3.8% in year 4. Our times interest earned ranges from a low of negative 0.5 during the third year to 4 years high of 11.7. Lastly, our estimated operating profit margins range from negative 0.1% to 4.5%. To put these financial ratios into perspective and account for care subsidies that would otherwise go to for-profit shareholders, this is what our financial ratios look like with care subsidies removed. Each category improves significantly, but that's not our goal in doing business. Growing Home strives to provide the most value to our patients, and as such, we tolerate less attractive financial ratios to make that happen. This is our forecasted balance sheet. As I indicated previously in our poorest performing year, our cash and cash equivalents are expected to be enough to compensate for a dip in net income. Our estimated financial ratios seen on the bottom of this sheet, show promise for growing home. Our debt ratio is expected to fall from 0.96 in the first year to zero point 0.7 in year 4. Additionally, our debt to net asset ratio shows positive momentum with a drop from 22.99 to 2.35 over the first 4 years, indicating that we're expecting to be able to maintain our liabilities and net assets into the future. This shows a breakdown of Growing Home's startup needs on the right. We need a total of $950,000 in startup funding before our program revenue will be sufficient to cover costs. This includes upfront fixed costs of just under $200,000 and estimated monthly costs of just over $125,000 for the first 6 months when the program revenue breaks even. Our founders are each contributing $25,000, and we're seeking $350,000 from donor investors and community donations for a total of $400,000. We will also be applying for a bank loan of $400,000 through a California Capital Access Program to secure financing and lower our necessary collateral. Finally, we'll seek an additional $150,000 from government and private grants. This final slide shows Growing Home's org chart with the initial staff requirements needed in year 1. At the top is our board of directors. It'll be composed of 5 members to start, with the executive director, medical director, a healthcare industry leader, a leader from the business community, and a community leader. It is essential for Growing Home to have a strong foundation of directors to guide our development. As far as staffing is concerned, we will need 6 nurses during the first year. I will fulfill 2 roles as executive director and staff nurse during the first year to limit staffing expenses. Once staff increases are possible, I will be able to devote my time to the role of the executive director alone. My co-founder will be our chief medical director and take one of our 2 neonatologist positions, with 3 neonatal nurse practitioners as night and weekend provider coverage. Only 1 speech therapist will be necessary during our first year, but we will need an additional therapist if we begin caring for more than 50 patients. Lastly, we will need an administrative assistant to handle staff scheduling, patient appointments, billing, and direct communications with outside sources. This is Growing at Home. Our deepest wish is to care for children and see that they have the best chance to grow into healthy, fulfilled adults. We believe in the words of Jesus, presented in Mark 10:14. Let the little children come to me. Do not stop them, for it is to such as these that the kingdom of God belongs. Because of this, we work to accept NICU parents and offer compassionate assistance in the care of their children within the comfort of their own homes. I would like to thank you for watching this presentation with Growing Home. I will pause on this screen for a moment if you would like to view my references. Have a great day.